Donald Trump has accepted Putin's nuclear challenge. This could lead to a new nuclear arms race. The American president stated that he has instructed the Pentagon to begin nuclear weapons testing and that this process will start immediately. He wrote on his social network,
"In connection with the testing programs conducted by other countries, I have instructed the Department of Defense to begin testing our nuclear weapons on an equal footing."
Later, Donald Trump explained to the press that the publication about nuclear tests was necessary to respond to the actions of other countries and added that the time and place of the tests would be announced later.
"We have more nuclear weapons than anyone else. We don't conduct tests. We stopped them many years ago. But if others are conducting them, I believe it is appropriate for us to start testing as well."
Commenting on the demonstration test of the Burevestnik nuclear missile, which Russian dictator Vladimir Putin recently boasted about, the American leader reminded that the US had sent a nuclear submarine to the shores of Russia. So Russia should think about its own security before threatening others with nuclear weapons. Trump's statement was circulated by American media on the morning of October 27th.
"They know that we have an advanced nuclear submarine, the best in the world, right off their shores. So we don't need a missile to fly 8,000 miles.
Let us recall that the day before, Putin announced Russia's test of the Burevestnik cruise missile with a nuclear power unit.
After all, this is a truly unique product that no one else in the world has.
And then he stated that the Russians had tested the Poseidon. Trump's reaction may indicate that he is choosing a more forceful and decisive response to the nuclear saber rattling that Putin resorted to after Washington increased pressure on the Kremlin to end the war in Ukraine. The last time the United States tested nuclear weapons was back in the year 1992, but after that, the country proposed testing its delivery systems, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarines, as well as bombers, according to Bloomberg.
U.S. President Donald Trump held a meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. According to Reuters, the meeting lasted an hour and 40 minutes. After the meeting, Trump stated that it was an amazing meeting and that many important decisions were made. Trump rated his meeting with the Chinese leader 12 out of 10 and announced reciprocal visits. After the meeting, Donald Trump announced that he had reduced tariffs on goods from China. The reduction will take effect immediately. The overall tariff rate on Chinese exports to the U.S. will drop from 57% to 47%. The American leader said that he discussed Russia's war against Ukraine with Xi.
"We talked with Xi about Ukraine for a long time. We will work together to do something about it. We agreed that both sides are bogged down in fighting."
International observer and Middle East affairs expert Khan Coughlin stated, the meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping could help achieve a breakthrough in his efforts to end the war in Ukraine. After all, according to the expert, Russia's military campaign is largely supported by Beijing, especially thanks to China's willingness to keep buying large volumes of Russian oil despite Western sanctions. In his article for The Telegraph, Coughlin writes, China is providing Moscow with technological support, supplying drones and missile systems that help the Russian army make up for significant losses on the battlefield. Ending the so-called no-limits partnership between the autocratic regimes of Moscow and Beijing has become one of the key goals of the Trump administration. It is noted that relations between Russia and China have always been complicated, including due to historical territorial disputes. For example, in Manchuria, which nearly led to open war in the 1960s. And although these disagreements were officially resolved in 2003, Moscow still remains wary of China's long-term plans. Another indicator of tension between Moscow and Beijing is China's reluctance to officially recognize Russian control over Ukrainian territories seized since 2014. This means that while Xi is willing to provide Russia with some support, he does not intend to enter into direct confrontation with the United States. Thus, the recent Trump-Xi summit in South Korea could play an important role in determining how willing China will be to continue supporting Putin in his war against Ukraine. Failing to persuade Putin to agree directly to a ceasefire, Trump may achieve this goal by striking a new trade deal with Beijing, as noted in the Telegraph article. Earlier, it became known that the largest Chinese state-owned oil companies have suspended purchases of Russian oil delivered by sea. As reported by Reuters, this happened after the United States imposed sanctions on the Russian oil companies Rosneft and Lukoil.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán announced an investigation into the fire that occurred on October 21st at the MOL oil refinery in Hungary. He did not rule out that it could have been caused by an external attack. Orbán wrote on Facebook,
The investigation is in full swing. We still do not know whether it was an accident, a technical malfunction, or an external attack.
The Hungarian Prime Minister also hinted at a possible Ukrainian involvement, mentioning a statement by Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, who at one time advised the Ukrainians to blow up the Druzhba oil pipeline. Let's hope this is not the case, Orbán noted. He added that gasoline prices have already surged, so he instructed Economy Minister Marton Nagy to hold talks with the management of the energy company MOL and to emphasize that the company cannot make up for lost profits at the expense of consumers by raising fuel prices. Viktor Orbán is known for his anti-Ukrainian stance. He consistently opposes Ukraine's accession to the EU. Last year, on October 26th, at the European Union summit in Brussels, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán blocked a joint statement in support of Ukraine, which could have initiated negotiations on its accession to the European Union. Let us recall that on the night of October 21st, a fire broke out at Hungary's main oil refinery, which firefighters managed to contain by midday. The oil refinery, located in Százhalombatta, which is Hungary's only major oil processing plant, primarily refines crude oil that is imported from Russia.
On October 29th, Russian occupiers demonstratively raised the tricolor flag on the stele in Ukrainian Pokrovsk. However, within an hour, the enemy flag was destroyed according to the monitoring project Deep State. At the same time, the project notes that the situation in the city remains difficult as the enemy continues to amass infantry. Ukraine's defense forces are making great efforts to inflict maximum losses on the enemy.
The city is a large grey zone since there are still plenty of our positions south of the railway. At the same time, it is true that quite a few occupiers have managed to infiltrate north of the railway.
The 7th Rapid Response Corps of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces also reports that the Russians continue their attempts to encircle the Pokrovsk agglomeration.
To carry out their plan to encircle the Pokrovsk agglomeration, the enemy has deployed about 11,000 troops. The enemy groups that managed to infiltrate the city aim to advance to the northwest and north of Pokrovsk.
It is noted that overall, in the area of responsibility of the 7th Air Assault Corps, the enemy has amassed about 27,000 troops, around 100 tanks, up to 260 armored fighting vehicles, and up to 160 artillery pieces and mortars. The map released by the 7th Corps shows the enemy's likely plan to encircle the Pokrovsk agglomeration. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that the main objective of the Russian Federation right now is to capture the city of Pokrovsk. Political analyst and military expert Kirilo Sazonov says, for Putin, Pokrovsk is the main point on the front.
It is becoming the most important, the most intense, because all efforts are concentrated there.
According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on October 29th, our defenders stopped 55 assault actions by the aggressor in the Pokrovsk direction. In the Kramatorsk direction, the defense forces successfully stopped 2 enemy attempts to advance. In the Kostyantinivka direction, the enemy carried out 24 attacks. In the Siversk, Slobozhansk and Kursk directions, there were 5 combat clashes. In the southern Slobozhansk direction, the enemy also launched 5 assaults. In the Kupiansk direction, there were 15 attacks by the invaders. In the Lyman direction, the enemy attacked 17 times. In the Sloviansk direction, the armed forces of Ukraine repelled 7 enemy attacks. In the Oleksandrivka direction, the enemy carried out 21 attacks. In the Huliaipol direction, the defense forces repelled an enemy attack near the settlement of Zeleny High. In the Orikhiv direction, there were 5 combat clashes. In the Pridniprovsk direction, Ukrainian units repelled 4 enemy assaults toward the Antonivsky Bridge. Meanwhile, dictator Vladimir Putin claimed that in Kupiansk and Pokrovsk, the Ukrainian armed forces are allegedly blocked and surrounded. The command of the Ukrainian armed forces refuted Putin's statement. The Joint Forces Group of the Ukrainian Armed Forces stated that any claims about the encirclement of Ukrainian troops in Kupiansk are fiction and fantasy, not based on any actual data on the ground.
If the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin were not a war criminal, one might almost feel sorry that in his old age he is once again forced to make a fool of himself and repeat the lies of his own generals. Lies that not even his loyal audience or the Russian elites can believe.
Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko also commented on the situation in Kupiansk following Putin's statements.
We really do have a lot of units operating around Kupiansk. As of today, I believe the situation has been stabilized.
UAF serviceman Kirilo Sazonov said Putin's claim of encircling Ukrainian forces is false.
I'll add from myself, this isn't the first time he's lied. Don't be so quick to fall for it.
Sazonov added that the Ukrainian armed forces pushed the occupiers back from Kucheryavye Yar and Novoshakovo.
Dobropilya direction. There, Ukraine's defense forces continue to press those who broke through. Their logistics rely solely on drones. They've gone on the defensive, completely dug in, not making any moves anymore, but that didn't save them. Their supply, well, from drones, you understand yourself, is unstable.
Since the start of the full-scale war against Ukraine, Russia has lost more than 1,140,000 people. The losses of the Russian invaders over the past day amounted to 960 people.
Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Oleksandr Syrsky, responded to Russia's claims about blocking Pokrovsk and Kupiansk. Fierce fighting continues in the Pokrovsk direction. Enemy infantry is trying to gain a foothold in the urban area, avoiding direct clashes, while Ukrainian forces are conducting strike and search operations and improving defensive positions, the commander-in-chief's statement said. According to him, the situation is difficult, but the claims made by Russian propaganda about the alleged encirclement of Ukrainian defense forces in Pokrovsk as well as in Kupiansk do not correspond to reality.
At the same time, in Pokrovsk, enemy infantry, while avoiding direct clashes, is gathering in the urban area and frequently changing their locations. Therefore, the top priority is to detect and destroy them.
The Joint Forces grouping also stated that Russian reports about the encirclement of Ukrainian troops are fabrications and fantasies that are not supported by data on the ground. The day before, Putin made a false statement about the situation in Pokrovsk and Kupiansk. According to him, the Ukrainian armed forces have allegedly been surrounded. The dictator cynically stated that he supposedly has no objection to allowing the media, including Ukrainian and foreign outlets, into the area where the enemy is encircled. But he claims to be concerned that there could be provocations from the Ukrainian side.
We are ready to cease hostilities for a certain period, for several hours, for 2, 3, or 6 hours, so that groups of journalists can enter.
At the same time, information appeared in the media that Russia is preparing a large-scale provocation. The Ministry of Defense of the aggressor country stated that they allegedly received an order from Putin to allow foreign journalists into the Pokrovsk and Kupiansk areas. The Ukrainian side has not confirmed this. This announcement may indicate Russia's intention to carry out a provocation so that later it can shout to the whole world about allegedly shelled journalists, while at the same time filling the front line with as many troops as possible. Trump's team doesn't trust Putin either. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance believes that the time has come for Ukraine and Russia to end the war. The politician questioned Putin's territorial gains and pointed out that Russia is losing too many people.